Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hope you're doing well. If you enjoyed today's video, please do leave it a like and subscribe if you want to help support me and my channel. So, as you can tell, setup's a little bit different. I'm back to using my SLR because it's just great, and my webcam just isn't. Got my ring light, but there's not much lighting over here, so I hope there aren't like heavy shadows across my face, because that would be a little bit frustrating. So today I'm going to be doing something pretty different to my usual stuff. Pretty different indeed. We're going to be talking about transableism. Transableism? What it is to be transabled, and I'll be giving you some examples, and we'll be going from there. So a little while back, I saw a title on one of Ready to Glaire's videos, one of her Tumblr Sucks videos, that says transabled. If you don't know Ready to Glaire, she does fantastic YouTube videos and runs a wicked channel, so I'll leave a link down in the description. And I thought, what is that? And apparently, I thought exactly the same thing as her, which is transableism is someone that's transgender and disabled. But no, that would be too simple now, wouldn't it? Someone that's transabled is someone that feels uncomfortable having all of their limbs, so they will decide to perhaps actually remove one of them, get an amputation, or fake an accident to remove one of their limbs because they feel uncomfortable with it. Now, it's so baffling, it's so goddamn confusing that I just had to look into this, and I want to share my discoveries with you guys. So, I will give you a little example, and then I'll discuss my opinions on what it is to be transabled. Because apparently there are a few different reasons why someone would do this. Apparently there is actually a mental illness associated with this called BIID, Body Integrity Identity Disorder, which is an actual mental illness, so those people get more of a pass from me because it's completely understandable if you suffer with this mental illness. It's not their choosing. But to choose to want to be disabled, where will the line be drawn, if there will be one ever drawn ever? So, let's take a look online here. This is on the National Post, and this says, Ottawa. When he cut off his right arm with a very sharp power tool, a man who now calls himself One Hand Jason let everyone believe it was an accident. But he had for months tried different means of cutting and crushing the limb that never quite felt like his own, training himself on first aid so he wouldn't bleed to death, even practicing on animal parts sourced from a butcher. Wow. My goal was to get the job done with no hope of reconstruction or reattachment. This is genuinely shocking stuff. His goal was to become disabled. People like Jason have been classified as transabled, feeling like imposters in their bodies, their arms and legs in full working order. We define transability as the desire or the need for a person identified as able-bodied by other people to transform his or her body to obtain a physical impairment. That's a confusing sentence. Person could want to become deaf, blind, an amputee, paraplegic. It's a really, really strong desire. Now, this is a terrifying thing. This is actually quite scary, because in a minute I'm going to be showing you examples of very young people that want to become transabled. And as is probably quite obvious to a lot of you, for a lot of people this has to just be a phase, and it's, you know, kids have these phases. But if a kid actually tries to physically remove one of their body parts just because of a small phase, that's a worrying thing. But here's the whole thing of it. I think this can be a very insulting thing to people that are disabled, because one of the things that comes to me having sympathy for disabled people is that it's not by their choice. They haven't chosen to live like this. And if we're all going to work together in this society, this messed up society we have, then it would be pretty bad if people are choosing to disable themselves, end up on welfare check or job seekers allowance, when people that haven't chosen to have those disabilities are probably looking at them and thinking, well, what was the point of that? Why have you wasted so much of your life by your own choice? It's a very odd thing. Now, let's talk about BIID for a second. The term body integrity identity disorder describes the extremely rare phenomenon of persons who desire the amputation of one or more healthy limbs or who desire a paralysis. Some of these persons mutilate themselves, others ask surgeons for an amputation or for the transection of their spinal cord. Psychologists and physicians explain this phenomenon in quite different ways, but a successful psychotherapeutic or pharmaceutical therapy is not known. Lobbies of persons suffering from BIID explain that desire for amputation in analogy to the desire of transsexuals for surgical sex reassignment. Wow-wee. This is some shocking stuff. Now, if you suffer from this mental illness, then obviously I can't say, well, you're an idiot for doing that, because that's not something done by choice. That's something that has grown in you for whatever reasons. Some people have said that it's our body not creating an accurate plan of our body and our mind, so these limbs feel very foreign and these people will not want to keep them. Now, let's move on. I went to Tumblr and I searched transabled to get a clearer picture of this, and one of the very top results said, being digitally assaulted. I'm not going to show you this person's profile because, one, I think privacy is important, Anision, but also this person is very funny about having their identity shown online. So, this terrible YouTuber called Ready to Glare has decided to come at me and my fellow transabled and otherkin. Otherkin. We'll get on to what a plantkin is in a second. Yes, this person is transabled and a plantkin, associating with a plant. Has decided to come at me and my fellow transabled and otherkin. If you come from this person to attack me, you will be blocked without hesitation. Just because I am 13 does not mean I'm going to change anytime soon. Being transabled, you can't really say that though, can you? When I was young, I'd go through so many phases and say, I'm never going to change. And then, what do you know, a year later, I've really changed my opinion on things. So if this person was to get an actual amputation and then a year later be like, probably shouldn't have done that. That might have been one of my not as intelligent choices. Being transabled or plantkin is not a phase, and you should not message me about your false opinion. Now, this is a person coming at this from a very different angle. This isn't someone with, well, this may be someone with a mental illness, but not necessarily body integrity identity disorder. This is more like a person that has just the funniest opinions on things, and we'll get into that in a second. This Ready to Glare shouldn't have digitally assaulted me, and definitely should not have shown my profile picture. If you come here from her, tell her to leave me alone, please. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Putting out a message like this, by the way, will just bring people to the attention that you are this person. And she covered up your profile and she didn't show your profile when she went onto your page, so she hasn't really done anything that bad. But she's coming at this saying that, you know, people are attacking me and people are being horrible to me, and people are hating on me. Well, first of all, no one's hating on you. Especially not Ready to Glare. She absolutely wasn't coming at this from that angle. She, like myself, just doesn't really understand what this is, and you're one person that has spoken out about this publicly online, so I think it's well within our rights to comment on your opinions. So, the initial message she posted that is really interesting is this one here. It says, my experience as a transabled. People have always had people to be very rude to me about being transabled. Great sentence. I don't know if she's English. It's not that hard to understand. I just think able-bodied people are privileged assholes, and I decided that I was too privileged. So I decided to stop using my legs to remove ableism. I think what she means by that is that she just isn't going to use them, but she still has them. Every able-bodied person is an deserved to burn and die for their privileged. So, she doesn't want hate to be brought upon herself, but she'll happily call everyone reading this message a scumbag bastard that needs to burn and die for their horrible privileged lives. Jesus. I don't understand why people don't get it. Don't you? Don't you understand that? When you say that? Do you not? So in conclusion, if you're disabled or transabled like me, I love you. I love you. If you're abled, you're a bigoted ableist who should burn. Now, it's just stuff like this where not only is it baffling, just baffling, and she doesn't understand why we don't get it, but then it's like such a crazy opinion to have. But yes, she's 13, and that's a very young age, so obviously you're going to go through these phases and say stuff like this, but just don't call everyone an a**hole. Ableist people aren't privileged a**holes, we're just people. It's just a sad thing when people get into accidents and end up disabled. It's a totally different thing when you're doing it by choice because you think being ableist is a stupid thing. I don't know. So yeah, as I said earlier, this person is a plantkin, which I don't know. I think it basically means that you identify with plants or specific types of plants. Am I saying this? Are these actual words that I'm saying? Is this reality? Is this real, guys? Is this what's happening in this world now? Is this what's going on? We identify with plants now. Okay. As a variation of plantkin, my kin type uses photosynthesis. What does that mean, though? What does that mean? I unfortunately don't go outside much due to being transabled. By absolute choice. I don't go outside much because I chose to be disabled and a plant. I've got a new and improved wheelchair that I can go outside with easier, and I've been feeling closer to my kin type. So, you have a wheelchair. How did you get that? If you're constantly in this wheelchair, that means someone is having to help you out constantly because you've chosen to be disabled. So you are taking away other people's privileges as being not disabled because of your skewed, warped opinions on things. But I actually don't think she does any of these things. I think she just kind of says this stuff online. She's 13, so I highly doubt her mum's going to be fine with her just deciding to be in a wheelchair. I'm not sure. And if this is deep-rooted mental illness, then okay. But I just don't know. When it's a kid this young, I think it's just a phase, and I hate saying that. And if this person sees this somehow, like I'm not hating on you. I don't hate you. It's just a very different opinion, as you must be able to understand. I'm not a horrible, bigoted I'm just trying to understand you. Is that such a bad thing? I don't think so. So that's that. But let's now talk about what a disabled person thinks about transableism. Deliberate dismemberment is insane. First, the idea of voluntary dismembering yourself because you feel like you were meant to be disabled is both insulting and incomprehensible. To understand where I'm coming from in this issue, a bit of my background might be useful. In 2010, at the age of 27, I lost my right leg in a car accident. My left arm was amputated 2 days later due to complications. That's the starting point for me, and my approach to this issue. I cannot fathom wishing to be disabled, or worse, actively pursuing it. Personally, I don't identify as disabled, and rarely, if ever, bring it up. Family, friends, and co-workers often apologise for forgetting that I have a very hard time doing certain things because I don't need, ask, or want help. People who want so badly to be disabled are obviously mentally ill. If the transabled were taking razors to their arms, oops, trigger warning, or if their ideations were about suicide rather than physical deliberation, there would be no question that they require immediate mental health care. The idea that we would view transableism as anything but a mental disorder is alarming, unsettling, and wrong. Now, this is a really interesting bit that I have been thinking about the most. Transableism makes unfair demands on society. Absolutely. Third, you do not have a right to impose your illness on society. There is a basic concept familiar to anyone who goes through political science or philosophy 101, known as the harm principle. The gist is that society shouldn't stop you from doing what you please unless it harms others. While one could argue that the transabled aren't harming anyone but themselves, the very act of deliberate deliberately imposing themselves on society is in fact the harm. This is true. Being disabled becomes very expensive. You have to change so much. In the example of that girl who's chosen not to use her legs, the amount of implications that would come into not having your usable legs as a kid. You would need money from the government, because obviously you're not going to be able to work because you're disabled. You're taking hardworking abled people's money because of your bizarre fantasies. So finally, you know, I don't hate you transabled people. I'm just saying it's a hard thing to grasp and get my head around. So that's my little thing on transableism. If you have enjoyed this, please do let me know. Please do leave a like if you have, and subscribe if you want to help support me and my channel. If you want to go a step further than that, I have a Patreon set up. Link is in the description. There you can get extra content. You can get some of my photography. You can get poems written by myself. So weird stuff. I don't really know what So, thank you so much for watching, guys. If you want to see more stuff like this, please do let me know down in the comments, because I've actually really enjoyed making this, and I'd like to do more stuff like this in the future. Thank you very much, guys. I will see you in the next one. Take care now.